Alright, real quick before we cut to the chase, please take a look at my Season 8 Kickstarter. It's my 5th Kickstarter for Through Gamer Goggles, and it is by far the best one I've ever put together. With that said, let's move on to X-Wing 2nd Edition, and more importantly, how I think, or what I think of the changes that they have already proposed and shared with us. Before I go any further, also, it's important to note, well, it's not important, but it's good to know that I have been invited, along with probably several other creators, to go, when I attend Gen Con, to sit in on a session of X-Wing 2nd Edition. So if you guys want to hear from me and hear my thoughts, please support my Kickstarter. Now, so, first things first, they're making major changes to X-Wing. And I think the biggest concern most people have is going to be the amount of money involved in continuing to play the game. I know that's a concern for me because I don't make a ton of money. And I know it's a concern for me because I need all 3 conversion kits if I'm going to keep playing the way I'm going to play with my family. And I'm not... depending on what's in them, like if everything from every wave that's in them, I'm going to be super happy, and I will not have a problem spending that kind of money. If not, I'm going to have to revisit that and think it a little bit, rethink it. But the new starters, they look pretty much identical in the sense that they have an X-Wing, 2 TIE fighters, ship cards, tokens, the movement templates, which from what I can see don't seem unchanged. They might, I mean, at least not, the physical shape, but thematically they might have a little bit of a difference. New dials and upgrade cards and things of that nature as well. So we're all pretty much familiar with the starters. And probably damage decks, which I didn't write down, but I'm sure that they're going to have damage decks. So some of the biggest changes, the Rebels are actually going to be broken into 2 factions, as is the Galactic Empire. And when I was first reading about this, I was like, I don't really know what I want to think about that. But the more I think about it, the better I think this change is. I think it's going to be better for balancing power in the sense that you're not going to be able to take someone like Darth Vader and maybe play him with Kylo Ren. And plus it's truer to the theme of Star Wars or the lineage and the different aspects of the story. Plus, like, some things probably just shouldn't happen. And I suppose there's going to be things that do go all the way across, from one faction to the other. If they're going to stay true to the storyline, I mean, R2-D2, he should be able to somehow be in both factions. So it'll be interesting to see how they make things like that happen. So, for example... another example is Poe will no longer be able to fly the way he currently does with some of the newer ships because the Rebel Alliance is going to become... or let me rephrase that. They're removing the Freedom Fighters from the Rebel Alliance and they're getting a new faction. I didn't write down what the name was. I'm not sure they announced it. And I'm sure that's not necessarily set in stone. And the same thing applies for the Galactic Empire. There's going to be 2 factions. And like I said, I think it's better. One of the biggest changes is going to be force powers. And I'm really curious to see, that was my remote, how this is going to affect the game. Because they have let it slip in the articles that force powers are going to be able to do things like give you linked actions, change faces on dice, I can't read my writing. I said fly and looks like chores. I don't think it's chores. But anyway, force powers are going to be a pretty significant factor of the game, I think. Anytime that you can manipulate dice in X-Wing, it's a good thing, right? We all know that to be true. So I hope that they walk on their tiptoes with this, because it could be something that could become broken very easily. which in some ways is good for a game, but in many other ways it's bad. You don't want something to just come out and dominate everything for 3 months, 4 months, and drive the price of it up on eBay or whatever because nobody can get their hands on it. But you do want things to come up and change the metagame and the environment to make it more stable. The chaos of new releases actually stabilizes the metagame. And we can get more into that at a later date. One of the coolest things that I read about, and I didn't really study it too much because it's kind of self-explanatory, and that's multi-use ordnance. That is the biggest drawback to so many upgrade cards right now, is that they are single use. I do not want to spend 2 points for something like torpedoes when I can get an ion turret for, I don't even remember the cost, but for, I think it's 1 more. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Somebody can tell us in the comments. That would be great, actually. I'm still new to X-Wing. But my point is, you can fire the turret over and over and over again. Or even the twin laser turrets that I put on Miranda not too long ago. I think it's a 4 or 6 point card. So worth it. Luke Skywalker, 7 point card. So worth it, in my experience. And my kitty cat is going to attack my leg, so if I scream, forgive me. There's going to be turret changes. Don't really know what they are yet. Cat, you're staying away from the camera. One of the cool things, I mean, it's kind of cool. X-Wings are going to be able to open and close their wings. I mean, that's kind of neat. It's not, it doesn't really affect gameplay or anything, but it's cool for those of us that are X-Wing fans. So everything's going to really be affected, and we are going to see a change in the way armies are built, clearly, because there's going to be more factions now, right? It's going to be interesting to see if certain technologies and upgrades become faction specific. I think that'll give it greater flavor in the game. I don't know how that will affect the balance because I haven't played enough. I didn't write it down. Shoot. It was not really that specific. Some ships are getting their base sizes changed, basically. They're going from a large to a medium base. Or going, their classification's getting changed. And I don't know, I haven't played enough people yet to really know how that's going to affect some of the things out there. So far I think the changes are good. My biggest concern, and I think the biggest concern there's actually one more really big concern, and that is about a week ago, my friend Ross Thompson posted on Facebook that Asmodee France or Europe, whoever the big owner is, has the company up for sale. It's a big offer that they're looking for, but at this point I'm not concerned because there's no real buyer. They're asking for a lot of money, so they might not be able to do that. They might not get it. But my concern would be that whoever takes it over doesn't want to pursue things like X-Wing with Fantasy Flight Games. That's actually a bigger concern than the introduction and the announcement of 2nd edition. It's certainly a bigger concern for me and the well-being of the game or the future of the game than spending $150 on the game. Or whatever it figures out to be. That is actually my biggest concern as to whether or not the game is going to take a hit, is how many people are going to be able to afford buying the conversion kits. I know that some people have already told me in our local shop that they don't plan on playing 2nd edition. They just plan on sticking with 1st edition because it's too much of an investment for them to convert. I don't know if it's going to follow the same suit of something like the Warhammer Fantasy players did, or the Fan Pro group that held on to BattleTech and Shadowrun for so long. if the X-Wing fans are going to be able to do that. I don't think. My personal opinion is that I don't think they're going to be able to, because I don't think the game is going to change enough that it's going to get hurt. I think it's going to change in a positive fashion from what they've announced. And like I said, if I get to go to Gen Con, I will share everything I'm allowed to share with you upon my return. If I'm allowed to film, I'll film. If I'm allowed to get pictures, I'll get pictures. And I'm trying to save my cat from killing my camera, or save me from killing my cat, because she's getting ready to knock down my camera. But with that said, I was going to be a jerk and say live long and prosper. May the force be with you. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This has been, I guess, one of my first Wargame Wanderings for Through Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com. And again, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, share, comment, and check out my Kickstarter, link below. Or click on the little thingy that I'm allowed to put in here. Bye.